You did the labs. Your doctor looked at the results and said everything was normal. So why do you still feel like crap? If you've been watching this channel, you already know there's a big list of things that your doctor probably missed. Not intentionally. He either didn't know which labs to order, or he read the lab's results but never asked you how you were feeling. If this is your first time on this channel, I'm referring to the last video I did. The video right before this one is called Your Supplements Are Not Working Because Your Doctor Missed This. In this video, I'm sharing with you 4 specific things that almost no doctor ever checks. The exact markers that'll tell you which cause is actually causing you to feel like crap, and the best order to address them so that you get the best results, so we can get you feeling better and faster. I'm David Toman, author of Nootropics Expert and this YouTube channel. I've spent the last almost 20 years researching how the brain works and what it needs to work better. And I've worked with over 2,000 people worldwide through personal consultations. If you're new here, in the last video, I walked through 5 things your doctor likely missed: sex hormones, thyroid, mitochondria, neurotransmitters, and cortisol. Now, if you haven't watched that one, the link is in the description below or beside this video. Watch it first because everything today builds on that. If you're back from the last video, well, thank you. And hit subscribe if you haven't already. This series isn't done yet. It doesn't cost you anything, and it helps other people in the same situation find this information too. Now, here's the problem with that list. You looked through 5 categories and you resonated with 1, maybe 2. That's me. That sounds exactly like me. And then what do? Well, if you're anything like me, your first instinct is to go and buy a supplement for it. More guessing and more supplements, and nothing ever changes. You still feel like crap. The problem with guessing. So what does this even mean? It means that guessing which system in your body and brain is not working properly is exactly how you ended up with that drawer full of supplements in the first place. More supplements are never the answer when you don't actually know which root cause you're dealing with and what to fix. So today, I'm showing you 4 specific things that go far beyond what a standard physical or annual blood panel checks. Each one of these things I'm going to talk about gives you real answers on exactly which of these 4 systems is actually not working like they were designed to work. No guessing, no going by gut feeling, just real solid information that you can work with. And these are not new categories. Nothing here is going to come as a surprise to you. These are the same categories from the last time: thyroid dysfunction, mitochondrial dysfunction, neurotransmitter problems, and cortisol dysregulation. But this time, I'm giving you the specific marker for each one, the thing your doctor rarely checks or explains to you, and why I'm recommending them. Thyroid, the test doctors skip. Let's start with your thyroid. In the last video, I told you to ask for free T4, free T3, and reverse T3, not just TSH. And that's still true. But there's a second test that's just as important, and almost nobody even knows to ask for it. It's thyroid antibodies, specifically TPO antibodies and thyroid globulin antibodies. Now here's why this is important. Your immune system could be attacking your own thyroid gland years before your TSH or your free T3 ever shows a problem. It's called Hashimoto's, and it's one of the most common causes of hypothyroidism, and most doctors never test for it unless you specifically ask for it to be tested. Now, I first learned about this years ago when I ended up in the ER, and the doctors ran my labs and told me the reason I ended up in the ER was that my thyroid lab said I was hypothyroid, and my only lucky break that day was that it wasn't Hashimoto's. But if your TPO antibodies are elevated, even if your TSH and free T3 look pretty normal, your thyroid could be under attack right now. If that's the real root cause of why you're feeling so bad, finding out by running your labs is the only real way to catch it and to treat it. Now, you must insist on getting a full thyroid panel, and that one phrase covers it, and your doctor will know exactly what you're talking about. A full thyroid panel includes TSH, free T3, free T4, reverse T3, and the antibodies that show if it's Hashimoto's or not. And don't let him get away with running only your TSH, because all TSH is, it's your pituitary gland sending a signal to your thyroid saying, hey, wake up, start making thyroid hormone. It doesn't tell you how much free T3 is in every single cell in your body and brain, or if your immune system is attacking your thyroid without you even knowing anything about it. If your doctor tells you that's nonsense and refuses to run a full thyroid panel, find another doctor. Because if you stay with that one, there's a good chance it'll kill you, like it did to me. And don't fall for that one. Mitochondria, the test doctors skip. The second thing that could go wrong and why you feel so bad is your mitochondria. Now there's a urine test called the organic acids test. Your doctor likely never even heard of it. So chances are pretty good that he never ordered one for you. And here's what this organic acids test does. It measures the actual metabolic byproducts that your mitochondria produce while they're making adenosine triphosphate, or ATP, which is your main energy supply. It shows whether your mitochondria are actually working or have stopped working halfway through the process. Now I'm talking about the Krebs cycle, or the citric acid cycle, the process that your mitochondria go through to produce ATP. And without going deep into the neuroscience here, there's a spot halfway through that cycle where CoQ10 accepts an electron from NADH, and before it gets to the end where oxygen and water get involved to make ATP, it breaks down. If your organic acids test comes back showing elevated markers like lactate or pyruvate, it tells you that your mitochondria are struggling to complete the energy cycle. And that's not something regular blood panel or regular lab tests will ever catch. Your fatigue isn't in your head. Well, now, I could be wrong there. It very well could be in your head, but it is measurable. It's all right there on paper. This test is typically ordered through a functional medical doctor or a naturopath or a specialist who knows about mitochondrial health. And chances are also very high that your doctor won't even know what you're talking about. Now, before we get to the last two, I want to pause for a minute. If you're already looking at this list and wondering which one applies to you most, or how to work any of this alongside your current meds, that is exactly why I offer consultations. Before we talk, you'll send me your current supplement stack, your list of meds, and what you think you're trying to fix. And we'll chat for an hour, and then I will tell you specifically what I think is missing and what I would suggest that you do differently. And then I'll send you my notes and recommendations afterwards. That follow-up document will include the nootropic supplements I'm recommending, how much to take and how many times during the day, a sentence or two to remind you why I'm recommending it, and a link to a specific brand. And most of the time, it's the same brand that I use. I've worked with well over 2,000 people worldwide. Most of them felt exactly the way you feel right now, like they had tried everything and nothing worked. You don't have to keep doing this alone. There's a link to my calendar in the description below or beside this video. Neurotransmitters, the math doctors never explain. Okay, let's move on to the third thing, and that's neurotransmitter decline. If you've already had a neurotransmitter test done, the kind that gives you numbers for dopamine, norepinephrine, acetylcholine, serotonin, and GABA, there's a major problem with that test because that test does not actually tell you how much of each neurotransmitter is in each cell in your brain. They are actually produced in your brain, and there is no way to measure that, not unless you're willing to have someone autopsy your brain. And I do not recommend that while you're still alive. So if you've got one, keep it because it does tell you how much of each neurotransmitter is in the rest of your body, which is kind of important. But the thing that really counts and that you need to know is dopamine declines by about 10% per decade starting in your early 20s. Serotonin follows close to the same curve down, and so does acetylcholine and so does GABA. This means that if you're 58 years old, for example, you're working with significantly less dopamine, serotonin, acetylcholine, and GABA than what you had when you were 21. Now, it's not because you did anything wrong or anything's wrong with you. It's what happens to every human brain as we get older. But when was the last time someone in your doctor's office explained this to you? So this is how to fix it. And you can start feeling again like you did when you were in your 20s and 30s. For dopamine, L-tyrosine, 500 milligrams 2 or 3 times a day, first thing in the morning and again at noon, and an option again later in the afternoon. And for acetylcholine, CDP-choline or citicoline, 300 milligrams twice a day, first thing in the morning and again at noon. For serotonin, 500 to 1,000 milligrams of tryptophan 60 to 90 minutes before bed. And to increase your GABA levels, I recommend PharmaGABA. It's made by a company in Japan grown on Lactobacillus hilgardi bacteria. It's the same form of GABA that you naturally produce in your gut, so it easily crosses the blood-brain barrier. Now that's the math, and that is what to do about it. All the things that we talked about so far, this one works the fastest. And you should start feeling better within a day or two of replenishing these neurotransmitters. Cortisol, the test doctors skip. The fourth thing that can go wrong and leave you feeling like crap is cortisol. This is the test that I wish every single person watching me right now, and yes, that means you, get it. It's called a 4-point salivary cortisol test. And here's why regular blood or urine cortisol tests, the one your doctor might already run, is useless. That type of test captures one single moment in time, usually whenever you happen to get your blood drawn, in the morning or in the afternoon. But cortisol doesn't run flat all day. It's supposed to rise in the morning to wake you up, and then gradually decline throughout your day so that you can eventually fall asleep at night. It's called your cortisol curve. A 4-point salivary cortisol test measures your cortisol 4 separate times throughout your day. In the morning, at noon, later in the afternoon, and at night. So instead of a snapshot in time, this test tells you how much cortisol your adrenals are producing all day. My doctor never told me about this. I had to figure it out on my own and how to fix it on my own. And I did. If your cortisol curve is flipped, it's low in the morning when it should be high and high at night when it should be low, that very well could explain why you're dragging your feet all day. And you feel wired at 11 p.m. and can't sleep. No blood test will ever show you that pattern. Only a 4-point salivary cortisol test will tell you that. The order, what to fix first. Now, here's the part I promised you in the last video. You now have 4 real tests, but which one do you actually run first? You can't do everything all at once, and honestly, you probably don't want to. Here's the order that I recommend. There's a good reason, and I'll tell you why this order makes the most sense. Start with cortisol. Always start with cortisol. Here's why. The chronically high cortisol actively blocks your thyroid from converting thyroid-free T4 into active and free T3. It also burns through the exact amino acids that would otherwise become dopamine and serotonin. And it directly damages your mitochondria's ability to produce adenosine triphosphate, or ATP, your main energy supply during your day. If your cortisol is out of control, it is actively sabotaging the other 3 systems while you're trying to fix them, and you'll continue to feel like crap. Once cortisol is addressed, then you move on to your thyroid. Thyroid hormone sets the pace for your entire metabolism, including how efficiently your mitochondria produce energy. And once you fix cortisol, then you can fix your thyroid, and your mitochondria even might start to recover on their own. So third, it's mitochondria. Now, once cortisol and thyroid are no longer sabotaging what you're trying to do, your cells finally have a fair shot at producing energy properly. And this is where using supplements for mitochondrial support like CoQ10, R-lipoic acid, PQQ, and Alcar actually starts to work well and improve how you feel. The last thing to concentrate on is neurotransmitters, and this might surprise you. You would think that dopamine and motivation should come first, since that's what you feel the most. But precursor supplements like L-tyrosine work far better once your cortisol, thyroid, and mitochondrial function are no longer working against you. Get those 3 handled first, and then the supplements you take for neurotransmitter support have a real chance to work the way that they're supposed to. Cortisol, thyroid, mitochondria, neurotransmitters. That's the order. Now let's bring this all together. We're talking about 4 things. A full thyroid panel that includes antibodies, an organic acids test for mitochondria, the math on age-related neurotransmitter decline, and a 4-point salivary cortisol test for cortisol. And the order to address each of these: cortisol first, then thyroid, then mitochondria, and then neurotransmitters. This isn't guesswork anymore. This is based on a ton of experience and a few lab tests. It's science you can work with so that you no longer have to feel like crap. Now, if you want help figuring out the labs that you need or help reading the results once you have them, that's exactly why I offer personal consultations. You send me your current supplement stack, your medications list, and what you are trying to fix. I will tell you specifically what I think is missing and exactly what I would do differently. I've worked with well over 2,000 people worldwide. Most of them felt exactly the way you feel right now, like they had tried everything and nothing had worked. You don't have to keep doing this alone. There is a link to my calendar in the description below or beside this video. And we also have a membership area on this channel. I encourage you to join our membership. You'll get videos that I do for members only as often as I can. And if you join the Neurohacker Tier 2 membership, that's the highest one, you can get your nootropic stack reviewed for free just by joining that membership. You send me your stack before the end of the month, I'll take a look at it, and I will make a video review of your stack and post it for the other members. So please join our other members, support each other, and talk to me directly. The link to learn more about or to join that membership is below or beside this video, depending on what you're watching this video on. Now, in the next video in this series, we start rebuilding. Once you know your real root cause in the right order to fix it, I'll show you exactly how to build the best nootropic stack around it, properly and not guessing anymore. If you found this video helpful, please share it with someone that you know who is dealing with the same thing that you are dealing with, because his doctor is not going to tell him about this. You know that, but you can. One way or another, we're going to have you feeling better. So stick with me. My name is David Toman. This is my channel, and I'll see you in the next one.